Next on stage, the KYC puzzle in Treasury operations. Moderating the discussion, Vasiliki Emmanouilidou, Treasury Operations Manager at Page Group. Joining her on stage, Thanos Daflos, Head of Cash and Trade Services, Business Development at Eurobank. Konstantinos Sdrakas, Treasury Officer at Elpedison SA, and Froso Minoudi, Treasury and Corporate Finance at Enaon. Please welcome our moderator and speakers.
Okay, everyone, hello, and welcome to the session. Let me start by saying it's really weird hearing your voice. This is my first time moderating, so if anything seems a little bit off, just smile and pretend everything's going well, and it's going to be okay. So, as the title suggests, we're here to discuss KYC and the process today in Greece. I'm sure most of you have been part of this process at some point in your career in Treasury. And if we can put it in the simplest terms, we would say that it's the framework that the banks use today to gather and verify information for their clients. So essentially, it's all about compliance. Going well with the rules, managing the risks, and building trust between the corporates and the banks. And although as a sound, it feels very straightforward. In reality, we come across very complex cases, more often than not, maybe. So in this point, I would like to just briefly outline what the session would be like today. We have prepared a short set of questions for you, our audience, and we would very much like for you to join in, because your feedback is very valuable to us, and it will help shape and guide our discussion with the panel later on. These questions are all KYC related, and they refer to the day-to-day Treasury operations and challenges you face. So we would very much like you, like I said, to join us and give us your feedback. To do that, there will be a QR code, as you can see on your screen, that you can use to join. Alternatively, you can use the event code also shown on the screen. And in this point, I would like to also thank my panel for joining me and for their time and effort to bring this discussion forward for all of you. I would like to give you a few seconds just to join in and connect to the QR code before we start our first interactive section. And maybe we can bring up the first question. So, the first question is referring to the onboarding challenges today. So what is the biggest challenge you face when onboarding with Greek banks? So I will leave you some seconds to just respond. And in the meantime, I would like to check with Froso.
Hello.
Thank you for joining.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Before we see the responses, Froso, which of these challenges do you think is going to be the dominant one from our audience?
Firstly, I'm very excited to be here to join this panel for the KYC process. I believe that it's a combination of the first two. These two factors slow down the process and make it harder for individuals and businesses to navigate smoothly.
Very good. I can see some of you have already responded. So maybe let's just see the results. OK. Are we surprised, Thanos, with the response, would you say?
Not at all. Not at all.
I think.
And I was betting on the first two.
OK.
I'm a little surprised of the third one, the delayed approval timelines. But for the first two, I'm not surprised at all. It's the ones that I also selected.
OK.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's bring the next question up. So the next question is around the timelines that it takes today for the KYC onboarding to complete. So again, please give us your view on your experiences. And let me ask Kostas, realistically, how much time do you need as a corporate to complete the onboarding process today?
Yes, hello everyone. I can't give an answer with just one word. I think while digital tools have made process faster, growing regulatory and customization demands can slow things down. So I could say onboarding isn't necessarily getting shorter, but for sure it's getting smarter.
Yeah, I mean, that's positive. It's going in the right direction. So if we can have the results, thank you. Okay, so Kostas, are we surprised?
Yes, I think that I'm surprised.
It's what you'd expect,
Yes.
right? Okay. That's a bit of a long timeline, just a note to the bank.
During the rehearsals, I was betting the over 40 business days
Yes.
that would
Me too.
win. So I'm surprised of the result of the 25 to 40, which is, I think, my selection was the less than 15. But
Okay.
yes, I'm surprised that over 40 did not win.
Okay, happy days. Let's see the next slide, please. Okay, so this question is more around the digital maturity today in Greece when it comes to the KYC onboarding process. So please feel free to give your responses. And Froso, do you think the digital capability today in Greece reflects regulatory constraints or just technical, slow technical investment?
I would say it's a bit of both, regulation and low-tech investments. The rules themselves are necessarily a problem, but the bureaucracy around them slows things down. At the same time, we haven't seen enough investment in the right technology to speed things up. So progress is happening, but it's unreal and make it slower than it should be. The good news is that there are seen improvement and it's moving in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. I think we can see the result, thank you. Okay. I think that's more or less what we'd expect.
I wasn't expecting excellent or poor. So yeah, okay.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay. If we can have the next slide, please, thank you. Okay, so the next one is about potential improvements and what would the proposed solutions can offer to the corporate treasury today to complete this process faster and more efficiently. So while the audience is voting, Thanos, there are several proposed solutions here, like centralized registry or real-time dashboards, which require industry-wide collaboration. So do we think this is realistic in the Greek context?
Not at all. I think it's not realistic in the global concept. If you think from the past years, from 2015 approximately, all ecosystems that were designed and operated by banks have collapsed.
Okay.
Actually, there is one ecosystem that works, the Trade Club Alliance right now, but it's only one of them. So I don't think that it's feasible to talk that banks can collaborate in order to address this problem. I think we need a central authority to take the lead. And if there is a central authority with the lead, the banks and all partners can comply on that.
Okay. Can we have the results, please? Thank you. Okay. I think it's what I would expect, although I'm not sure the first would be, like you said, realistic in the Greek context, but nevertheless.
It's totally what we expected. It's like if we put, an option of, having a machine to take us to another planet in 1 hour, it's the same thing. I think that would win also. But I don't think that, we're currently there.
Okay, thank you. Lovely analogy. So next question. This is around the e-banking onboarding. So this is part of the whole KYC onboarding, which finishes up with the e-banking access. The question, how would you rate the onboarding process for e-banking access in your existing banking relationships with Greek banks? And here I would like to hear from Kostas while the audience is voting. Are we seeing any banks offer end-to-end digital activation, or do you think there's always a physical step involved?
Yes, the truth is that fully end-to-end digital activation is still rare in Greece. Most banks have digitized some parts of the process, but such as accepting scanned documents or offering online forms. But there is almost always a physical step involved, like wet signature or in-branch verification.
Okay. So more of a hybrid sort of way.
I would choose the third option.
Okay. Well.
Wow.
Well, thank you. Okay.
Moderate. I didn't expect moderate, but yeah, okay. I think it's good news. I think it's good news that the association and the community thinks that the existing unacceptable to me process is moderate. So I think that next year we will be excellent.
Excellent. That's what we would like to hear. Okay, and if we can please move on to the last question for... Thank you. So this one is around the digital signing. And what would most improve your experience with the onboarding process for e-banking access in your role as a corporate treasurer in Greece? So Thanos, this is a little bit of a tricky discussion around the signing of legal reps and the digital signing of legal reps. Can you please let us know what's the process today, if there are any regulatory or, I don't know, other restrictions in place, and what stops this from being streamlined across all banks in Greece?
Well, especially for corporates now, that corporates have more complex representations, okay, in their e-banking access. Currently, it's more like, the status is more like a legacy status like we've seen in past 3 to 5 years. So it's a hybrid, let's say, model. We haven't yet employed all technologies in place in order to support full digital access and real-time visibility, also, one of the options that we already have in the polls. Banks need to work on this. We cannot discuss about, seeing artificial intelligence by the corner and at the same time to need, documents or physical presence or seeing the persons in order to let online access to our bank system. And I wanted to thank the Association of Treasurers for being here today, but I also wanted to say that I'm very sorry, for all the problems that we cause to the community of treasurers because of that. It's my fault, basically. Not 100%, but 97, 98%. And I think we need to move really forward with that. We invest heavily in technology, this is part one, but we also need to change our mindsets in order to really employ the technology advance into the treasurers' everyday lives.
Thank you. That's very insightful. Can we see the responses, please? Okay. That's good to see, no?
Standardized onboarding across banks.
I think that would simplify the process a lot.
I think we can forget about that. But maybe we can talk about the second or third one, something like that. Yeah.
Like you said, it has to start from the top down.
Yeah, I don't think, this is going to happen.
Okay, so at this point, we have concluded with the first section, which was the KYC poll. Thank you all very much for joining, because your responses would really, really help move on with our discussion with the panel now in more depth, a little bit on those challenges. And if I was to maybe move a step back so that I can see you better. So I think let's start from the beginning, right? We're talking of a KYC onboarding process. What is that? A short overview from a corporation starting a new relationship with a bank today, KYC all the way to account opening and e-banking.
Yeah, well, I would categorize in 3 levels, let's say. First is the onboarding and renewal, which is opening the new relationship. The second is having access to our online channels, the second level. And the third level is also to be able to make transactions. So the most complex and difficult part is the opening part, the opening the relation, where currently it's a 2-step procedure. So we need first to have all the legal documents from the company in order for our legal teams to provide the legal representation document. And after that, we follow very extensive KYC on all parties that are, all partners in place for this company. The system basically wants bad money to be out of the system. So this process is the most complex of all. It needs also physical presence, which makes it difficult, especially if beneficial owners are engaged, who are difficult, are persons of high interest and are very difficult, to access. So this makes it even more complex. And also sometimes the representation of the companies themselves, because the workflows are very complex, especially in large corporates. The situation gets a little better when we need to give access to online channels and also to perform transactions. But the current situation is complex and it takes time and effort in order to execute.
Which sort of reflects exactly what we've seen from the audience so far. So
Yeah. The responses were more, to me, I expected, a lower level of efficiency. Yeah, very kind.
Okay, so now that we've heard about the process, I think we need to hear about the challenges. And we have two sides here. One is the bank and one is the corporate. So if I can start with the treasurers. Kostas, what are the challenges today during this process of the KYC onboarding? And are they, let's say, around more documentation, requirements, interpretation of those? Where do you think is the main challenges?
Yes, from my perspective as a corporate treasurer, I think I believe that these three areas that you mentioned are of equal significance. Let's start with the communication. One of the biggest gaps, I believe that one of the biggest gaps is the lack of real-time visibility to the onboarding status. Treasury teams often manage multiple entities and bank relationships, and not knowing where each onboarding stands creates delays and uncertainty. We rely on emails and phone calls to track progress, which is inefficient and time-consuming. Secondly, the documentation is another major challenge. Even for standardized procedures like e-banking access and account opening, the required documents can vary from bank to bank. There is no common checklist or standardized format. And this leads to unnecessary back and forth and repeated submissions. Last but not least, the interpretation of requirements adds another layer of complexity. Even when regulations are clear, each bank may apply them differently. What qualifies as a valid proof of authority or acceptable certification can vary, creating confusion and forcing treasury teams to adapt to each bank's internal logic.
I hear you. I hear you. Right. Thanos, from a bank perspective, what are the challenges you face, and is there anything that you can share with us that maybe needs clarifying and it's maybe imposed by the Central Bank of Greece as opposed to every bank's choice?
The problem is not only the authorities in Greece. This is a pan-European problem. Every country has a different, a different, let's say, process in opening a relationship with the bank. We totally understand that we want, as I said before, bad money to be out of the system. This is, the essence of it. But I think that it needs to start from the top. So first, in EU level, to have common rules for all entities in EU. And after that, the local authority, the Bank of Greece, for example, applies these common rules to all the banks again. Mm-hmm. And of course, we need also to employ technology. So, by talking, requiring physical presence or having apostille to be sent, methods that we used to have some decades ago are not acceptable also. So we need also to employ technology in that. So we need common rules around EU, common rules, of course, in each EU country, and after that, the institutions can apply these rules for the benefit of the treasurers, of course, by also eliminating the risk of bad money entering the system. Mm-hmm. But I think this is the approach that we need, to follow, especially for the opening of new relationship, because the two other levels, accessing digital channels and making transactions are mostly on the bank side. It doesn't have to do so much with the regulator. But especially for opening a new relationship, I think we need to have a top-down approach in EU level.
Okay. And if we stay a little bit on the KYC onboarding process, are there any exceptions available today for the bank to use while remaining compliant with the regulations and the framework, but still allowing some sort of flexibility around the corporates and that onboarding process?
In our case, we have exceptions. You can call me.
Okay.
You're in the exception.
You all heard that, so take a note.
No, I'm joking. There are some exceptions, but the exception has to do with the tasks that can be implemented in parallel. We cannot bypass, the regulation. But, for example, of course, if a bank, for example, has a specific segment that is very focused on, then for this specific segment of customers, the industrial, let's say, sector, they may have a little different process that will allow processes in parallel to run in order to reduce the total time required. So these kinds of exceptions you can meet in the Greek banking system, but you cannot, eliminate all the hurdles that the regulator imposes.
Okay, so it's more of a delay that creates.
It's more of, bringing faster the final outcome, but not eliminating all the hurdles.
Any of the steps, exactly. Okay, thank you very much for that. So now let's go into the process of the the e-banking part of the KYC onboarding. And I would like to start with Froso. How quickly, in your experience, do you think a corporate client can gain online access after opening a bank account?
If the corporate client has completed the account opening process that proceeds onboarding and the necessary documents which are required by banks are all immediately available, the process is completed in a few business days. The completion time is almost 2 to 7 days. Sometimes we communicate with banks by sending emails to speed up the procedure if it is necessary.
Okay, thank you. And from a bank perspective, Thanos, how long do you think it would take, realistically, to gain the e-banking access?
Realistically, it should be zero time. Realistically, by opening the bank relationship, you need to have the online channels in place. Now, what is the reality? The reality is that this is mostly on us, so it's our fault, okay, totally. The situation is that for smaller companies, that the representation is very simple, then we can achieve that. By opening the relationship, they can also have the access to digital channels. For more, for larger entities that have very complex representation workflows, we need some time, because it's also that the person that has the access to digital channels basically acts as a general representative of the company. So all the limits that the company applies to this person should also be applied to the bank too. That makes a complex procedure even more complex. This is the reality.
It adds to the complexity, yeah. So just a quick one. On the e-banking access today for a new relationship, is there a physical presence required?
Well, currently there are cases of physical presence required, but this is something that I can say that for the Greek banking ecosystem, I think this is that we will see very soon that it will be a kind of eliminated.
Okay.
Especially for the banking.
Something to look forward to then.
This is something to look forward, yeah.
Okay, so we have now concluded the part of the KYC onboarding as a new relationship with the bank. But there is also another part in this process, that of the renewal, which is happen frequently, and it requires some sort of steps to be done from the Treasury and the bank perspective. So on that side, Thanos, what are the digital capabilities today for the renewal process of KYC, and are we seeing any progress?
Currently, the process in renewal is a lot like opening the bank relation. okay, maybe we don't need the physical presence this much, but, it happens.
More or less the same, yeah.
But I think that in next year's summit, I think this issue will be of no discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a commitment then?
Yeah.
For everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving into a fully digital KYC
I think that next year we're
renewal.
going to move in a fully digital renewal process. Yeah.
Lovely.
Exactly.
That's really good to hear. And would that account for account opening as well? So would the user be able to...
Account opening, also, applying for new services, of course, yeah.
Everything digital?
Not everything?
No, within that.
Yeah,
within
what
that.
we discussed so
okay.
far. For 2026.
Not to make it.
Maybe later we can, talk,
Okay.
more things.
More to come. More to come.
Yeah.
Okay, and now a question for the treasurers here. That's more around the fully digital or hybrid experience of yours when it comes to KYC onboarding or renewal process around this. I would like to hear your views around any challenges that you faced, what worked well, and what sort of is similar to what Greece is like within Europe. And if I was just to play devil's advocate here, I've recently completed a KYC renewal with our entity in the Netherlands. And it was a fully digital process, beginning to end, no email interaction needed. Everything was through a platform, completed, submitted with a dashboard. So from where I stand, I have sort of a positive experience from that. But not to show off, but yeah, just to bring something on the table. So I would like to hear your perspectives and experiences. Kostas?
Yes, I've had a similar experience in other European countries. In many cases, the process started digitally, with online submission of documents and digital forms, but still included some physical steps, such as wet signatures and certified hard copies. So while the experience was more streamlined than the past, it wasn't fully digital. However, the challenges were very similar to what we face in Greece. Lack of standardization, inconsistent application of digital tools, and limited transparency are not unique to Greece. So, to sum up, I believe that these core issues are common across markets.
Okay. And Froso?
I haven't had to do onboarding with a European bank by myself, so I can speak from direct experience there. I do know that some European banks have made good progress with renewals. In some cases, it's quick, easy to follow, and transparent. But there is not everywhere, so I wouldn't say that Europe is perfect as a whole. Mm-hmm. In Greece, from my own experience, renewals can also be done quite quickly, but banks still ask for physical signature and documents, and physical presence sometimes. Mm-hmm. So yes, things are moving forward, but slower and less consistent, and in a less consistent pace. So ideally, we would like to see Greece move closer to those banks in Europe that have already simplified renewals.
Thank you. It would be good to have to get to that stage. Okay, and now we're going to move to the last question of this session. And this is more directed to you, Thanos. So we would like you to give us some good news. So in order to reach the change that we need for this process to be more efficient and better for both sides, who needs to come together to collaborate? Is it the banks, the regulators? Are we talking technology partners? All of the above? And is there anything you can share with us today in terms of any concrete sort of progress that is taking place as an initiative?
To my mind, the lead is on the authorities, the regulators. And they need to partner very, very close to the banks, but also technology partners. Because technology shapes our world now. So we need to, to open our minds to the things that technology can give us. This is the path, moving forward. We have seen some very good examples. For example, many of you are digitally signing documents right now, and you send it to the bank, and the process is, let's say, digital. Many of you use the GovGR to do that. And many things to come are ahead. For example, the KYB. Now we are seeing the pilot for GovGR for the KYB, although currently it's mostly for smaller companies, it's not for large corporates, but this is a good step forward. So I think by seeing these enhancements, by enhancing the GovGR, by enhancing KYB to apply it to more companies, to larger companies, and by the authorities to start this process in very close dialogue with the banks and technology partners, I think we can, fully reach the outcome that we all see forward. And what we all should see forward is, having everything instant, seamless, simple. This should be, this should be the outcome.
Is there anything that is taking place today as an initiative, though, that maybe could expand to account for bigger corporates and just help?
We are in talks with authorities on that. The extension of KYB to larger companies is a step forward. Also, we have talked about the GovGR expanded its capabilities. For those that use it right now, you cannot, sign documents if the representation of the company is very complex. So it's more for simpler, let's say, workflows. And we are currently in talks for, expanding the scope of these services together with authorities.
Excellent.
But we need to see, moves forward.
Definitely a collaboration, but
Definitely
from the top down.
Yeah, top down. To my mind, yes, it should be top down.
Okay. Right, I would like to thank all of you panelists here and all of you for joining us and for bearing with us in this session. I hope you found that very useful. Before we finish the session, I would like to ask the panelists to give one final thought, whether it's a hope, something they take away, or something like a final say to our audience. So let's start with Froso.
I hope for the future that the KYC process improves in such a way that enhances the relationships between banks and corporates.
Thank you. Kostas?
Yes, KYC is more than a compliance task. It's a chance to build trust and efficiency. My hope is for a future where digital collaboration replaces fragmentation and making onboarding faster, clearer, and truly seamless for the treasury teams.
Thank you. Thanos?
I think currently we are in this very complex, problem. I think currently we are in the, dark area. But I'm very optimistic. I always think that, everything is possible. Impossible just takes a little longer. And I think that we all have identified the problem. We totally sympathize with the community of treasurers. And I suppose that we will see results really fast. I think by next year we will be able to see a major change on that.
Well, we're going to hold you to that, but yes. So with that, and from myself and on behalf of the whole panel, I would like to thank you all for joining. I hope you found that useful. I hope that may have sparked new ideas for collaboration and innovation. Is the main theme that we take as part of this discussion, that different authorities, banks, corporates, they all need to collaborate and understand better the process. And I wish you a great remainder of the day. Thank you.